Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. If you're new here, my name is Nikita, and on this channel we chat about inclusion of BIPOC stories, especially South Asian stories, both in fiction and in real life. So you can expect a lot of book chats, book recommendations, as well as my podcast called Brown People Problems. For today's video, since May is AAPI month, which is Asian American Pacific Islander month, I wanted to chat about a few books that I have read by AAPI authors, or those that focus on AAPI stories and individuals. Some of them I have read, some of them are new to me, and I'm planning to read them soon, so I thought I'd share my recommendations with you. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please feel free to do so I can continue to bring you this content. Okay, first up for my AAPI recommendation, I have Now You See Us by Balikaur Jaswal. This is the author that I had the pleasure of interviewing. I'll link the video above as well as below. She's the author of Erotic Stories for Punjabi Widows, which was a Reese Witherspoon pick, but this is her new book. It just came out last month. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but it's on my list. But this author typically writes about South Asian diaspora, but this time I think it's more of an Eastern Asian diaspora. So I believe this story follows like a Singaporean elite family, and then there's a murder that gets pinned on one of their Filipino domestic help. And the way that I understand it, and I don't want to know too much about it before I go into it, but the way that I understand it, that now all of this like domestic kind of help, they band together to solve this mystery, to lift the blame off of their fellow Filipino worker. I am expecting there's going to be some really lovely narrative on like class and privilege, and some really lovely discussion on class, privilege, and just how easy it is to, I guess, discriminate against domestic help. So the only other book that I have read that has domestic help kind of characters in it is The Help. I forget the name of the author, but I believe it was also turned into a movie. So I'm looking forward to this one, and it has sort of like a thriller murder mystery aspect, so I'm excited about this. Next up, we have The Perfumist of Paris by Alka Joshi. This is book number 3 in the Henna Artist series. I believe this is the last one. I believe it's a trilogy, so I believe this is the last one. But the first one is The Henna Artist, then there's The Secret Keeper of Jaipur, and now this is The Perfumist of Paris. It's multi-generational, spans over a few years. It's historical fiction set in India. It really follows female leads who are trying to just, make a name for themselves and really finding their place in society. If you haven't already read Henna Artist, it's great. I would actually include the whole series in my recommendation here. Again, this just came out last month. I'm excited to get into this. Up next, we have something that I haven't, again, read yet, but I'm excited. It's The Fortunes of Jaded Women by Carolyn Hyun. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but this sounded really interesting. So this is basically about a Vietnamese American family living in the OC in Orange County, and there's some sort of like a multi-generational family curse where, so like the legend has it, family legend has it, that they were cursed so that the women in the family would never know love or happiness, and they would only give birth to daughters and not sons. So it really seems like it's centered around multiple women, so multiple female narratives and perspectives, and I believe one of the characters decide to kind of go to like a psychic and see what's sort of in her future, and it really sounds like a really lovely like cultural kind of narration, but also a great story of women and family just kind of banding together. This has some really great reviews, I think, from a lot of authors in the back that I enjoy. Has really good reviews, so I'm excited for this. All right, the next book on my AAPI author list is The Chai Factor by Farah Heron. If you've watched some of my videos from the month of April and last couple of videos, you'll hear me talk about another book by this author called Camilla Knows Best, which was a South Asian Emma retelling set in Toronto, Canada. This is also set in Toronto, Canada. I've actually started this, I'm about halfway through, and this is about a 30-year-old single female engineer who really kind of just doesn't have time for anything, dating or anything, and she's just trying to work through her master's. And then there's sort of this unplanned romance that happens with a Caucasian man. So this seems like a biracial type of a relationship. and it has good reviews. I really enjoyed the first quarter of it. Now that I'm at the halfway mark, it's become a little bit slow for me, but I will of course still finish it. I'm hoping that it picks up. But it's a romantic comedy with a really, really strong female protagonist, which is, you know, one of my favorite things. All right, up next we have Age of Vice by Deepti Kapoor. You have probably already heard me talk about this book a number of times, but this is massive. This is over 500 pages. It took me almost a whole month to slowly get through, but this is unlike anything that I've ever read. This is a crime drama, a crime family drama that's set in and around the areas of New Delhi in India about 20 years ago. So I guess you could call it a historical fiction, but it is just so layered and multi-narrative, and it of course has a lot of mature themes, so please check the trigger warnings on this. It is an incredibly triggering book, but if you can withstand a lot of that, this was a really lovely read. If you like family drama, if you like crime drama, if you like politics and intrigue, you would really, really like this. Okay, after that we have What a Happy Family by Soumya Dave. We are reading this for my BIPOC book club. If you didn't know, I have a little book club, a virtual book club on Fable. It'll be linked down below. You're welcome to join us if you would like, but we just get together, we pick a BIPOC book, and we chat about it as we read it. So for the month of May, this is our pick. This is by the same author who wrote Well-Behaved Indian Women. I am excited about this a little bit more than I was about that, but this is essentially about an Indian American family living in Atlanta in US, and a lot of family drama, a lot of identity kind of, I think, searching and purpose searching, and I'm just expecting a lot of like relatable characters, right? I really enjoy these family drama types of books because they are just so layered and they're so complex that you feel just so like engrossed and invested in the characters. So excited for this one. All right, the next one on the list is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto. I recently reviewed this book in my April wrap-up. Check that video out if you haven't. It'll be linked above as well as below. But this was probably one of my favorite books of the year of 2023, and we're only, we're not even halfway through the year yet. But this is really great. Our main protagonist is an elderly Chinese woman living in San Francisco's Chinatown who owns and runs a tea shop. One day she wakes up and she finds there's a dead man lying on the floor of her tea shop, and she takes it upon herself to solve that murder. She's so fiery. She is hilarious. She's so witty. She's so cranky. I absolutely loved Vera. I haven't read many books with an older female protagonist, so it's really nice to see some representation for this type of demographic. And if you like cozy mysteries, you would really like this. All right, my second last recommendation is Partners in Crime by Alisha Rai. This is my very first Alisha Rai. I just finished it a few days ago, and I just picked it up on a whim when I was at Chapters. I've never heard of this author, but I was like, you know what, I'll check it out. And honestly, I was so blown away. So this is a romance, but romance is a subplot. The larger plot, at least for me, was the mystery around it. So essentially, this is a story, people describe it as Indian matchmaking meets date night, but this follows two Indian American individuals, Mira and Naveen, who are exes, but they get kidnapped together. Something happens and they get kidnapped together, and now they're kind of going on this like wild goose chase all across like California and Vegas, and trying to solve this mystery, all the while falling back in love. So this was a really pleasant surprise. And my last recommendation for this video is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This is the author who wrote Little Fires Everywhere, that I believe is now a movie or a TV show. I haven't seen it, but I read these books a few years ago, and this was great. It's a very small book, like you can see, but it's a really lovely fiction. It's essentially about this Chinese American family whose daughter is found dead. And it kind of reminded me of The Lovely Bones. If you read that, you'll kind of know what to expect. It was like not nearly anywhere as heartbreaking as The Lovely Bones. That book was just traumatizing. But This has a mystery component, you know, it kind of follows like the death of their daughter, but there's just what I really appreciated about this book was just this like focus on what a lot of first generation immigrants or first generation, you know, like Chinese Americans kind of have to go through in terms of identity like development. So, you know, you kind of see a little bit of like this double life that this character she led, you know. So at home she was like a good Chinese daughter, but outside the home she really had to navigate this like Western American culture, while at the same time staying true to like what she had been taught was important. And a lot of children of immigrants end up living this double life where there's someone else at home and someone else at school or outside of home. And I really like the conversation around this, the narrative around this. This, again, I read a few years ago, and this was one of the first ones that I had read that was about a Chinese American family, and it was really, really great. Even Little Fires Everywhere, that's a really great book as well. Again, really amazing at exploring these like different cultural nuances of what it is growing up Asian American. Okay, that was it. That was pretty quick. Those were some of the books I would recommend for the month of May to celebrate some Asian American as well as Pacific Islander authors. I acknowledge that I don't have any authors on here that are Pacific Islanders. I would love any recommendations down below if you can share them with me. I really want to be inclusive of that and incorporate some of those authors and those stories in my work as well. Hopefully this video encouraged you to reach out and just diversify your reading a little bit. Let me know which ones you have read, which ones you're planning on reading, and I will see you in my next video.